We are here with John Connelly, who is the CEO of Interblock, which is the predominant electronic table games company in the world, and has maintained that position for a long time. John, every year we talk about the potential for this future thing called the electronic table game, or ETGs. People don't even use the words anymore. But it's grown, it's matured. How much more growth is left there?
Well, I hope a lot. But as a percentage of the North American footprint, electronic table games is still sub 2%. So I think we have a long ways to go. Relative, when you look at Asia Pacific, there's many markets such as Macau where they're reaching 16%. In Europe, more 8-9%. So I think the North American market, at least here, has a long ways to go. We're seeing that growth though, as you mentioned. I think really the limitation on how far we can go is really predicated on our innovation and R&D as Interblock. The more we innovate and the more we can come up with concepts the players find appealing, I think you can see casino floors, even in North America, breaking the double-digit marker. So.
Right. You used the word innovation, and it seems to me that in the short span of time in which ETGs have been fairly common on the casino floor, that they've changed dramatically. They've gone from novelties that people used to look at to like main parts of the floor that players just go to.
I think, as we talked last year, I think COVID, as devastating as that was for the industry, it really created an environment by which players that couldn't play at live table games were somewhat forced to try an electronic table game, right? And coming out of COVID, a vast majority of those players continue to this day to play ETGs. So it was really a nice catalyst for us in player acceptance. And if you look 5 years ago to today, Interblock in 2015 made 95% of its revenue from mechanical roulette. That was the definition, I think, of the industry as an electronic table game. Put it in the middle of a bunch of slots. It's like a slot. And fast forward to today, you walk up and down the strip or wherever you go, there's sections of floors. We have over 40 variations of products now and climbing, hundreds of features and functionality. And I think we've learned that much like a slot machine environment, and when you walk on a casino floor, we often talk, when you go on a casino floor, there's dozens and dozens of varieties of slot machines, which is why there's so many manufacturers. Volatility, stepper, video, keno, poker, because there's different types of players, different demographics that require different forms of content. And we've learned over the past, several years that electronic table games or table game players in general feel the same way. And I think it's more relevant now than ever, especially when you start to look at the online space and the number of people and the money that's generated online from table games with virtually no chips. They're not in a casino. There's no table pit, for all intents and purposes. So it's evolving quickly, and we're just trying to make sure, as it evolves, we remain relevant.
How important is online to you?
That's a loaded question for me, because when I was at Bally Technologies back 15, 17 years ago, we were very much involved in the online space as it was potentially opening at that time. Ended up not opening like we were expecting. And I took a step back in North America, and when I joined Interblock, we really needed to stay focused on our core business without distracting ourselves. We were experiencing a lot of growth and trying to scale with that growth. But fast forward to today, and now that North America is opening and the company Interblock is more established, we're taking online extremely seriously and plan on entering that space in 2024.
Another competitive space.
Another competitive space. Another one, yes.
We have seen the change that we've discussed in ETG product offerings themselves. And the innovation does continue, and it seems like the innovation accelerates. What are some of the trends in innovation in ETGs, and how will they look, say, 2 or 3 years from now when we walk onto a casino floor?
Wow. I mean, I can speak on behalf of our company. I think we are finally at a point which we're excited about, where I would say the foundation of electronic table games, meaning, blackjack, craps, roulette, baccarat, some of the core games, we've created several different distribution methods of those games. I would say the basics, whether it be video, mechanical, live. And now at this year's G2E, we've really come to a new level, I would say, as an organization in our thought process, where we're starting to really try to break barriers. And to your point about online or traditional space, we're creating a lot of products now, and in the back of our minds, anticipating those products going online, and the different behavior patterns, the different expectations. And we're being, I would say, more bold in our approach to doing things that no one's done before. No clear data to suggest that it's going to be successful. So I would say in our roadmap right now, there's probably 30% of the innovation that I would say is much more out there than in years past. In years past, we needed to check the boxes, the basics. And I think we did that successfully as a company, and the results, I think, have shown. But at this year's G2E, there's some products in there where people are like, who thought of that? Where did that come from? And so we'll see.
We'll talk about those in a minute. But before that, my annual question, which is on the whether someday you guys might be a public company. We know you've made the transition from a privately owned European company to an American-based company owned by a private equity group, and private equity owns businesses to eventually monetize them, to use that financial jargon. Where are you in the life cycle?
Well, I would say that partnering with Oak Tree Capital, private equity firm, was, I think, a changing point for our company, for Interblock. It was a fantastic decision. They've been an amazing partner, really stood behind our company and financed us accordingly, given us the capital we needed to grow. And I think everybody's very happy with the trajectory of the company at the moment. We see a tremendous amount of upside and potential. With that said, you're right. I mean, at some point, private equity does need to exit. But for now, at least, we're very focused on the continued execution of a business plan we've put together. The Oak Tree Capital really, if you think about it, only closed on Interblock June of 22. So it hasn't been that long, right? So we've got some time, and for that reason, I think both Oak Tree and myself were very focused on how to continue and maintain the growth of Interblock today. But that being said, Oak Tree and ourselves, we're always looking at other opportunities for M&A and how to monetize the company.
Well, you have grown organically, and you have described earlier the vast potential there is for further organic growth. What about your own acquisitions? Is that part of your strategy?
Absolutely. I mean, without question, now that we have a private equity firm such as Oak Tree behind us, I mean, we have a lot more options. So as you know, this year, Ruse electronic table game business quite rapidly came on the market unexpectedly. And we reacted to that and acquired the company. And we are, through Oak Tree, we just acquired an online gaming company through Oak Tree. So there's acquisitions going on that are not necessarily within the Interblock P&L or balance sheet, but on the periphery, synergistic to what we're doing. So it's both direct and indirect acquisitions that we're making that have proved very beneficial.
Okay. Finally, we're here at G2E, and you've got lots of products to show. What are some of the must-sees?
Well, this year there's several, but I think based on yesterday, the first day of G2E and the pre-G2E visits from the operators, and then the feedback from the industry, it's the first time in 30 years for me, as we were talking earlier, that the industry on 3 separate occasions has given Interblock an award for a product that was not even launched. It was simply submitted with anticipation we would launch it at the show. It's the Smart Pit. And it's one of those products where we stepped a little bit outside the norm, and we said we were going to take essentially a live pit with craps, roulette, blackjack, baccarat, and we were going to give those dealers a technology umbrella, let's call it, and try to make each dealer more productive, more decisions per hour, give casinos the ability to have higher house advantages, reduce labor costs, and it was about a 2-year project. We launched it at the show, and the feedback has been overwhelming. And so my anticipation is that by next G2E, as you come down the Las Vegas Strip, the Smart Pit will be a terminology and concept that it will resonate. And I will just add with that, what makes it a little bit outside the norm is that there's no chips. And people at first said we were crazy, and I reminded them that at one point in time, someone said, why don't we take the slot business and remove coins? And I'm sure they were told they were crazy. So I think we're not that crazy. I think people are seeing that. And again, if you look at the online space, there's no chips online, right? So I think we're onto something. The industry seems to be supporting it, so let's see how it unfolds.
Plus, you've got a tremendous slogan, not that crazy.
Like that. Not that crazy, yeah. Most times.
What should folks look for when they come to your booth?
I think when they come inside, again, we have, if you walk into the Palazzo right now from the Venetian Conference Center, there's an area that people are talking about called the Immersion from Interblock. Coming from my slot days, we envisioned how do we create an area of the floor? When I walk on casino floors at this point in time with all these suppliers, with the biggest, the brightest, the widest, the tallest slot machines and signage, it's overwhelming. It's almost just like it's a rainbow of content and hard to really navigate. So we said, what if we, much like our stadium concept in the middle of a casino, where it's an environment that people can go and have a different feeling, we said, what if we took our universal cabinets and our sign packages and put them together in an area and created another environment on that casino floor that was harmonious and an immersion environment. And that we introduced pre-G2E, and 10 casinos on the Strip signed up immediately, and you can see it at the Plaza. So I think that's something that we're going to continue to invest in and really try to create more environments on casino floors for people to walk onto and enjoy something different. The Smart Pit, as we just talked about, I think that is obviously something that's resonating. And then we've come out with a couple concepts for roulette and craps that are very, very different, extremely different, things people have never seen. And I won't ruin the surprise. And I can't stop without mentioning Aruze. The acquisition of Aruze is, it was so perfect. Their portfolio of products with Interblocks, it fits so perfectly, and to have now the resources associated with that company intertwined with Interblock, it's gone incredibly well.
Okay, great story. Anything else, John, that you would like folks to know about Interblock?
No, other than we appreciate all the support and very fortunate to have the industry support us and fortunate for you to keep supporting the industry. So that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John, always entertaining and informative.
Thanks. Thank you very much.